The confusion around Google's next affordable Pixel phone is finally starting to clear, and we now have a much stronger idea of what to expect from the upcoming Pixel 10a. A fresh report from Europe has revealed what appears to be the final pricing along with a very specific launch timeline. For people who love clean Android and the Pixel experience but don't want to spend flagship-level money, this phone has been getting a lot of attention, and now the picture is much clearer. According to a well-known leaker from D-Labs in France, Google is expected to officially unveil the Pixel 10a on February 18th, which is also likely the same day pre-orders will go live. The actual release, when the phone starts shipping and becomes available in stores, is reportedly set for March 5th. These dates line up with earlier leaks and suggest that Google is moving a bit faster this year compared to last year, when the Pixel 9a launched later. With a mid-February announcement and an early March release, the timeline now looks quite solid, and it also means that anyone thinking about buying a Pixel 9a right now might want to wait just a few more weeks before making a final decision. Pricing is where things get more interesting. The report claims that the Pixel 10a will be priced at €549 for the 128GB storage model and €649 for the 256GB version, with both models expected to come with 8GB of RAM. These prices may sound very familiar because they are exactly the same as the Pixel 9a in many European markets, including France. For some buyers, this will be good news, as there were concerns that Google might raise prices, especially at a time when many mid-range smartphones have become more expensive. Keeping the price the same can definitely be seen as a positive move. On the other hand, some people will be disappointed, as earlier rumors suggested that Google might lower the price of the Pixel 10a, particularly if the upgrades over the Pixel 9a were going to be minor. Based on this latest information, a price drop now seems very unlikely. In the United States, this European pricing strongly points to a starting price of $499, the same as the Pixel 9a, since Google usually keeps its US pricing consistent from one generation to the next unless there is a major shift in strategy. With the price and launch timeline mostly settled, the biggest question now is whether the Pixel 10a is actually worth buying. That question has been hanging in the air ever since the first leaked renders appeared almost 3 months ago. Those images showed a design that looked nearly identical to the Pixel 9a, with the same familiar camera bar, a very similar shape, and almost the same overall size. At first, many people assumed this was just an early placeholder design, but newer leaks have not shown any major changes either. Reusing a design is not always a bad thing, as many smartphone brands do this across multiple generations. The real concern is that the similarities may go far beyond just the looks. Leaks suggest that the Pixel 10a could feature the same 6.3-inch display as the Pixel 9a, complete with a 120Hz refresh rate. The camera setup is also rumored to stay exactly the same, with a 48-megapixel main camera, a 13-megapixel ultra-wide camera on the back, and a 13-megapixel front camera for selfies. The battery is expected to remain at around 4,500 mAh, which is already quite solid for a mid-range phone. Perhaps the most worrying part is the processor. Some sources claim that the Pixel 10a might still use the Tensor G4 chip, the same one found in the Pixel 9a, which would make the new model feel more like a rebranded version rather than a true upgrade. However, the latest D-Labs report does suggest that Google may switch to the newer Tensor G5 chip for the Pixel 10a. If that turns out to be true, it would at least bring a noticeable improvement in performance and efficiency, even if most of the other hardware stays the same. All of this raises a bigger question about Google's overall strategy with its A-series phones. Maybe this lineup simply isn't well suited for yearly updates. When the improvements are so small, releasing a new model every year can make the product feel unnecessary and uninspiring. An alternative approach could be to keep the Pixel 9a on sale at a lower price and skip the Pixel 10a entirely, then return next year with a much more improved Pixel 11a. While this would be unusual in the smartphone world, Google has never been afraid to do things differently, and such a move could even set a positive example for other brands that release new mid-range phones every year with very minor upgrades. Of course, this is more of a thought experiment than a realistic expectation, because the Pixel 10a is almost certainly launching as planned. Still, how well it sells could influence Google's future decisions. If sales are weak, it may push the company to rethink how it handles its mid-range lineup. In the end, the Pixel 10a is shaping up to be a safe and predictable phone rather than an exciting one. It delivers the same clean software, reliable cameras, and solid battery life that Pixel fans already expect, but at the same price as the Pixel 9a and with very few confirmed upgrades, it may struggle to stand out. For buyers who skipped the Pixel 9a, the Pixel 10a could still be a decent option, especially if the Tensor G5 chip is confirmed, but for everyone else, waiting for discounts or holding out for a more meaningful upgrade in the future might be the smarter move.